So maybe, Andre, we get going. We've got still quite a few to come in, but I think in the interest of time, we should kick this one off.
I definitely agree, Mike. Let's start.
Okay, so just so you're all aware, we're recording the session, and we'll make the recording available afterwards, both audio and video. I would like to, I guess, start by just giving a very warm welcome to all of you to this latest edition of the FIH Academy National Association Development Series. My name is Mike Joyce, and with my colleague Andre Oliveira, we'll be guiding you through the next 90 minutes as we talk to four brilliant guests about club development. Clubs, I guess, in whatever format they might be, so schools, community groups, academies, colleges, not-for-profits, are the heart and soul of the world of hockey. Their role, guided by the hundreds of thousands of volunteers and professionals the world over, is fundamental to the growth and prosperity of our sport. The aim of today's webinar is to start our drive to increase the level of support and resource available to clubs at an international, national and local level. Andre and I are happy and honoured to welcome you from, I think eventually when everyone gets here, 32 nations across 20 time zones, which is quite incredible. Looking at the list of all of you, I can see there's a vast amount of experience and knowledge. And please, please, please interact via the chat function. So make your comments, ask questions, share your good practice. If we don't have a chance to highlight that during today's session, we'll share and follow up afterwards. So for the next 90 minutes, we'll be focusing on four club development topics: social hockey club, people and networks, fundraising, and community social development. And without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce our four guests. I'm not going to say anything about them other than their names, and then I'll give them a chance to give you a little bit of background for themselves. So Gabrielle Van Doorn, Mark Cairns, Ahmed Khan, and Ruth Bingham. Gabrielle, maybe you can kick us off.
Thank you, Mike, for giving me the honor to kick it off. My name is Gabrielle Van Doorn. I'm working for the Dutch Hockey Federation, KNHB, managing now the Hockey Foundation. I have an extremely boring background because I've always worked in hockey and in hockey development, most probably because my passion is in development. Whether it's at club level, coaching kids, whether it's at the national level, doing projects for the Dutch Federation, up to the global level, where I was development manager for the FIH for 13 years, supporting all our clubs and national associations. That's what I've been doing for the last, I think, at least 25 years. And because development is such a wide area, it's never boring. And I'm very happy to have my new position, and that's managing the Hockey Foundation. And the Hockey Foundation supports clubs in lower income areas. And through this initiative, we want to provide children from disadvantaged areas with the opportunity to develop themselves by being part of a hockey club, by being part of a hockey network. And why are clubs now so important for me, and what is my ambition? It's my dream. Clubs are so important as they have so much to offer. They form a small society where children can grow themselves and learn for life. And my dream and my ambition is therefore to give kids from all different backgrounds the chance to reach their potential through the network of a club, through the teamwork, through the club and life skills that the club has to offer. So that's my shy introduction to the topic.
You forgot to mention that you are the mother of hockey development in the world, which maybe I coined that phrase, but certainly
we discussed that we would not say that, although it's better than the grandma of hockey development. So I accept it.
Massively happy to have you here. Thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you. So next, Mark, I'll let you go next.
Okay, hi guys, Mark here. So I'm the co-founder of a company called Coach Logic, which is a video and communication platform used by sports teams. I developed that whilst being a PE teacher at a local school. And in terms of like my background, I guess is rugby is my sport, but being a PE teacher and the father to two girls, I've come across a lot of hockey, especially recently, actually, with them growing up and loving it. My kind of passion for sport comes in all different forms. Like I owe a lot to my sport. I've met lifelong friends through it. I actually come from, without the sob story, I come from a kind of council housing background, single parent. Rugby was definitely a good social vehicle for me to climb and to connect with people I wouldn't have got to connect with, I feel. I convinced my German wife, my now German wife, to stay in Edinburgh through a free flat that I was occupying whilst a couple of New Zealanders went back to New Zealand over the summer. So that turned out well. I got my first PE job through my rugby coach. I got my company off the ground through my contacts within my sport. And then finally, at the age of 27, I got to travel the world with Scotland Sevens and play for my country. And actually, it was on that trip that 2-year period that I kind of seen how valuable video was, especially in the hands of players. And I wish I'd had contact with video all the 20 years before that to make me a better player. So that my passion now is to try and get video into the hands of as many players as possible across as many sports as possible, so they can have that ability to develop themselves without the coach at times, because they can be a blocker. And that's me.
Awesome, thank you, Mark. And I think it's really interesting from certainly my perspective to understand, because I know rugby very well, and I know the synergies that there are between rugby and hockey, and the very similar challenges, and obviously different ones too. But great to have you with us. I should also add that Mark also represents Coach Logic, who we're very lucky to have as a partner sponsor of the FIH Academy. So again, thank you publicly for the support that you give for that.
Thanks.
Next, Ruth, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Ruth Bingham and I'm the chair of HC Knoll Park, which is a club based in Kent in the southeast of England. I'm a player, a coach and a parent of 4 children at the club, as well as being the chair. And we set up the club 3 years ago and we now have 250 members, ranging from 6-year-olds up to 50-plus-year-olds. This season we won under 12, under 14 and under 16 girls national titles. The under 14 boys won the national play, and our 16 and 18 teams won the indoor national titles. We've got 3 adult teams who all got promoted, and our women's indoor team qualified for the National League. So we're immensely proud of all these achievements that we've achieved only in 3 years. But Knoll Park is far more than just about winning trophies. We're a close-knit community of people who really want to improve our hockey, whatever level we are, whether we're beginners, back to hockey. And as I said, whatever standard, all those people have the same aspiration to be the best they can be. So our ambition really is that every player is able to achieve their potential and, most importantly, develop a love for the game that lasts a lifetime through social interaction, teamwork, and being part of a great new club.
Thanks, Ruth. And again, it's great to have you with us. And what a fantastic story you've got for a club in such a short space of time. And really interesting to us to hear the things that have made that happen and how you've managed to achieve what you've achieved. And again, as you say, not just on the field, but off the field in such a short space of time. So welcome. And finally, last but by no means least, Ahmed, over to you.
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Ahmed Khan. I'm from Hong Kong. My club is Shaheen Sports Club. Personally, I believe that sports could create dreams to grassroots children and their lives, and to practice their future. This is my slogan, which can, motivate myself. Our club, Shine Sports Club, this year is 40th anniversary. And our club's still holding a record of, I think, 17 times champions. And now we've got 2 ladies team, 4 men's team, and we have mini hockey, we have youth. And we just started, I think like 7 years ago, we started a hockey academy. It was, we got it from the government, a small piece of land, not a big one, around 2,000 square feet. But I think most of you understand Hong Kong is a very expensive country, I mean city. And if you have like 2,000 square feet in the heart of the city, it's really fabulous. And our club developed like coaches ourselves, umpire, and also players, athletes who represent Hong Kong as well. Most important for us for the development for the past many years, the problem in Hong Kong is we do not have really good development in many ways. So our club take the first step to develop our own coaches. We send coaches to FIH courses. We send umpires to FIH courses, and we also send athletes, our players, to join some of the clubs in overseas. At the same time, our club also traveled to Malaysia and Thailand, almost like, because of lockdown, we didn't travel for the past 2 years. We traveled to Malaysia. We have some hockey camps to play friendly games over there. And even we take players to watch some tournaments overseas. That is what we need to do for the players. And for the club-wise, for us, it's very important to develop our, not only just coaches, players, but management team also. Without good management, without something, how to run the club, I mean, someone who run the club, it's very difficult. And the most important, I'd like to thank our coaches and our team members and all of our management people over the past 40 years that made our dreams came true and also achieve a lot of records. Most of our mini hockey now won a lot of champions also. So we have a bright future. That's the most important. Thank you.
Fantastic, and welcome joining us all the way from Hong Kong today. And certainly, I think when we had a chat a couple of weeks ago, your enthusiasm and love of the game really shone through. And so I hope to hear a few more of those stories today in the session, so that we can share them with the audience. Okay, so our first topic then is social hockey clubs. So we believe, I guess, and so will many of you, that that there's a heart and soul that makes up a quality hockey club, and that it'd be interesting to discover, okay, what are the values and actions that are important for a successful club? And I could probably ask all of you, but I'm going to start, Gabrielle, with you, because I suspect that you've probably over your time in development visited a fair few hockey clubs, and you've got an idea of what stands out with the special ones. So what are your thoughts?
Thanks, Mike. Well, I think a great social hockey club is, in my view, a very inclusive club. A club for all, that caters for all ages, for male, female, for all levels, and also all backgrounds. It's a club where people come together and get connected. It's a club where not everyone is welcome, but also feels welcome and gets involved in playing the sport, but also gets involved by running the club. And as have seen many good examples of that over the years in Holland, but also in many other areas of the world. And I think that a well-run club involves all of its members very well and appreciates the special skills that they bring. Not everybody has to be that great hockey player to be a great member. Good clubs invest a lot in getting to know their members and to find out where their passions are, where their skills are, and they make them first fan of the club, and then they involve them in the participation levels, the different participation levels of running the club. I think that good clubs, that they are run, that they listen very well to the different groups within their membership. I'm a strong believer of youth leadership. I think that young people, whether they're 12, 16, maybe even younger than 12, that they have great and fresh ideas, and if managed and guided well, that we can create fantastic clubs by listening better to our young people. I think also that good clubs are very flexible. So they offer a format of hockey that is suitable for the different target groups. So whether you have the seniors, the masters, that maybe don't like to run over whole fields anymore, that you can create smaller fields, walking hockey, but also this day and age where people seem to have less free time, offer your club life, offer your club hockey in such a way that it's doable. And most important is know your members and know where people's interests and qualities are, and give them a pathway to grow at the club. That would be my my first reaction. Mike, I can keep talking.
No. Yeah, super
maybe
interesting.
This is a good start.
It's a bit like I guess if you're a really good chief executive of a company, then you look at your employees and you look at their skill sets and you look at their needs and wants, and you try and provide a range of different things that will help and support them to grow and develop. And a club is no different. Mark, I see you nodding your head quite a lot. Does this resonate from a rugby perspective as well? Is it a similar kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we're really lucky at my club. I'm the head coach at my rugby club, and we're lucky because we have a home, we have a space. I've got, like I said, I've got a couple of daughters, and a lot of the sport they're playing at the moment, they don't have a home. They don't have they go to training, they maybe rent the space, like a court, a basketball court, a gymnastics hall, but there's not that ability to interact socially post-session. So I think it's really valuable to kind of look at the club and the facility and the space within the community. What can it offer the community? It doesn't have to be the sport all the time. It can be other events. How can you bring them together? We run fitness classes now out of our club. I can speak later about a co-working space we created as well. And we're trying to connect more online as well. So that online space. And obviously my bag is video, right? So we want to produce more video to connect. We know video is a great connector of people, highlights, cool moments, getting more of that stuff online so we can kind of maybe stop players doing so many TikTok dances and maybe celebrating their sports performance a bit more. So those are we're aware of our physical environment, but actually we want to try and also provide a kind of social online environment as well.
Important.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mic got stuck. Fantastic. I think that's really interesting. So I'm gonna try and put you under a bit of pressure. So Ruth and Ahmed, you're actually in hockey clubs. I've put a question in the chat, and so I'd encourage our audience as well to engage here. Those of you who are involved in clubs. So the area that we're looking at is what makes a great social club. But I've put, can you share one great idea to build the social dimension of a club? So one idea that you've had in your club that you think has really benefited the whole sort of family social feel of the club. So Ruth, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that Mark said about having a clubhouse. We don't actually have a clubhouse, so we have to try and make our social events either pitchside or organising special events. But I think Gabrielle got it just right, saying that we're trying to involve the whole club, so trying to include parents, so getting parents back to play hockey and getting our young leaders to help at junior sessions all makes people feel more inclusive. But in terms of a whole group thing, we've done what's called a hockey fest, where we've had children playing, adults playing. We've had sort of games, beat the goalkeeper, who's the coach, fundraising ideas, refreshments and sort of entertainment, face painting and so on, to try and get everybody involved in a hockey environment, but also socially as well. And that was very successful. Obviously, COVID has prevented us doing so many of these events recently, but we are planning something similar as a sort of summer party celebration of the season shortly.
Fantastic. And do you, what sort of, Gabrielle mentioned about sort of young leaders and encouraging young people to get into, I guess, particular roles within the club where they have responsibilities. Is that something that you do?
Yeah, we run a young leaders program for our sort of teenager girl, well, mainly girls, but teenagers who then come along and help at junior sessions with coaching. They've helped umpire at small tournaments, and the younger children love it and see them as role models, obviously. And I think the older ones, it gives them a sense of responsibility and giving something back to the club. So it's been very positive and successful for everybody, really.
Fantastic, thank you. Ahmed, your thoughts?
Yes. Well, I think parents is very important, because like, for example, on mini hockey, we call that mini hockey, which is like below 12 years old. Parents is the one who brought the kids there. And the most important is they're the one who pay the money, actually, when they have whatever causes. Now, the main thing is what I did is we create a small volunteer group by the parents. This volunteer group, we visit OH homes or some of the community works. So the parents would join this kind of social service or the community service, and which they bring their kids. So the kids could have their ownership of the club as well, and as well as the parents. And it also train the kids because they need to perform some like show to the seniors. So they will become the leaders, and they also give us some of the ideas of how they should, perform or whatever, and the parents as well. So we just like a family in a certain way, but because of the, the convent and all that, we have stopped a lot of things. But on the other hand, during this past 2 years, we use our clubhouse to become like a community project. We serve a lot of people in our community, because they cannot come in. We give away food and whatever that we can help the community. So right now we have really formed a base in the community. So once when everything is really open again, we will have a lot of kids will be joining our activities. We will have a lot of family will coming to support us, and because of our service that we are giving to the community, a lot of people, they knew that we are doing this via social media or news or whatever. They sponsor a lot, like food or even some of the funds and all that, which for the coming years, we have a lot of good program for the kids and also for underprivileged children as well. So this is quite a fantastic way of doing something which is different. And over the club management, we need to train a lot of club, our members, so they can come back to contribute to the club, and so that they understand that the club is belong to them, not a certain people. This is what we are doing for quite some time already.
Yeah, I think that's really, I mean, first of all, massive commendation for the work that you've done, opening up to the community, and I know that when we talk about the community and social development, you've got some really cool stories that we'd love to share later on. But I think it's really interesting that what I've heard from certainly, well, all of you to some extent, is that we have to, within our clubs, be open to the fact that the younger generation are ultimately going to take over the club at some point. And the more we can do to prepare them for that, and the more opportunities we can give them to learn those different roles, the more likelihood it is that we're going to have a sort of lifelong sustainable club. So we've got people moving on and through. Gabrielle, you have a point to make on
Yeah,
that.
just a small addition. If you don't have a clubhouse, which is of course a great place to bring people together, use a kiosk where you sell some drinks, put up a party tent, but define a spot where you bring the people together. Whether it's directly near the pitch or a bit further away, doesn't matter. But create something where people would like to come and get the connection what a club can offer so well.
A pop-up gazebo with teas and coffees.
Looks good to me.
We've just ordered a gazebo.
So we've got through social hockey already. I think one thing's for sure, and that I met with our guests a couple of weeks ago, and what we quickly realised was that we could probably talk for about 10 days about this, but we only have 90 minutes, so I have to move on. So that's the social hockey. So the next topic is people and networks, and I'm going to hand over to Andre, who's going to take over from him.
Cheers. Thanks, Mike. I'm actually so far until now we've been focusing a lot on how to bring people in and how to engage with the people that either already involved in the club or that are potentially going to be involved in the club. So now I would like to make a small bridge to the next step, which is how to keep these people in the club and basically how to even increase the support that the club gets. And I would like to start with asking Mark, because Mark created an idea around his club, and that was used. Was it around COVID, Mark? Yeah. Can you give us a bit of a grasp on that story?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I've just posted. Obviously don't disappear just now, but I've just posted a link into the chat, which kind of tells the story probably better than I'm about to. But yeah, I was working from home as everyone was, and I wanted to have a space to break out. So our club kind of gets used heavily in the evenings, but it really didn't get used during the day. So we changed the bar area. Also, rugby has a kind of traditional kind of drinking culture with it, but that's changing a lot. I feel like the youngsters especially are kind of more into their health and well-being than they are their drinking, which is a great thing, although they have socials. So we changed the bar area into a coffee area. It still does bottles, and there is another space where you can get a pint. And we also then created some spaces for working as well, so people could come along and work from the clubhouse, essentially, and use that time between 8 till 5 where no one was in the club. So that helped bring a lot more people outside of our sport to the club. Exposed businesses. We run business events, opportunities for sponsorship. Future-wise, like we want to get a sponsor of the breakout space, because it's one thing having your banner on the side of a pitch, but actually you might get more exposure if the clubhouse is busy. But yeah, so it brought more people to the club, and it's also generated more revenue. A good way to keep people at a club is to pay them, which sounds ridiculous, but there are positions in a club that I think need paid, and they should be money generating positions. So you should get money back for that role, but it's always hard to pay. You're always trying to kind of keep costs, but maybe think about growth more than saving money.
That's great, Mark. Thank you so much. Ahmed, you mentioned about parents, but we know that what Mark has talked about just now, about increasing your support base, making partnerships, it's something very important to Shaheen Hockey Club. So what do you do at Shaheen Hockey Club to bring more people and to increase the level of support, of external support, of partners in the club?
In Hong Kong, it's not like what Mark, they have the clubhouse. In Hong Kong, we locked down no one is allowed to go into the club except staff. So we cannot open the club to the members to come in. What we can do is now, right now we have, or even earlier when during the lockdown, we have like mini hockey training. We use the Zoom and all that. At the same time, we also communicate with the parents, how they are doing and what is the facing that they face during the lockdown. And during lockdown, the kids were always at home. So what kind of the problem they're facing. So they give back a lot of positive feedback of how and then we have a connection with them. The most important, for me, it's really very tough during the lockdown over the past couple of months or past 2 years. But on the other hand, a lot of parents, they communicate with me and they are really looking forward of how should we do, and a lot of ideas, or like, to be a volunteer to help the club to run when it's back to normal. For example, like how about a youth team manager, or even a mini hockey to become a manager to look after the kids, and volunteer to do some other works which will help more in the community. This is something that I'm really very happy that they like to help us, because we are not a big club, and it's very hard to say it's success or not success, and we cannot say it's a good or bad. It's very hard, every club, they got their own standard. But for us, I think the most important is how we communicate and how we use our existing existing staff or whatever, to get our more people, to generate more people to come into our club, to join us, to support us. That is the most important, and for us, and sometimes it's very tough, but we have a light in the dark hole, so it's going to be a bright future. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Ruth, if I understood correctly, in your club, people are quite a key central point. You just mentioned just now about the not having a clubhouse and how you go around overcoming that. What could you tell us a bit more about how you also mentioned about the little events you do. How important are the people in the club, in the running of the club, and also in the gathering of support and in the networking of the club?
Well, lots of our club helpers are volunteers. A lot of them are parents or players who've just got a passion for hockey and want to get involved. We don't necessarily have money to pay all these people because we have to spend a lot of money hiring pitches. So most of them, as I said, are volunteers, but we do offer sort of rewards to incentivize them to carry on. So they might get free membership, or they don't pay match fees. They might get some free kit or equipment. And obviously we try and make it as fun and gratifying as possible, so they want to continue. I think in terms of recruitment and things like that, our social media presence is very good. So I think a lot of people see what a fun club we are, what amazing things we're achieving, and are keen to be involved. But it takes a lot of sort of work and reaching out to people sometimes to get extra help beyond the members we've already got.
Gabrielle,
maybe
now,
Andre,
yeah.
I can add maybe something to this, because Ruth is talking about people that put their voluntary time in running the club, but they are loving hockey. We are working in areas with the Hockey Foundation where people are not used to be member of a club. I think what I learned from that is that there is a big skill from getting involved up to real participation, being a committee member, being a coach, being a board member, and that we must be very careful when we bring new people in, that we don't immediately expect the same form of participation. And what I sometimes see is that clubs, because there's so much to do, they go to the parent with a form and hello, nice to meet you. Can you cross the boxes, tick the boxes that that needs to be filled? Can you become an umpire, a coach? Can you be in a committee? And then you scare people off that are not used to club life. So we always say, make people first fan of the club, fan of the sport, involve them by inviting them to come and watch a match, maybe to go to an out game, far away game. Make them, yeah, what I say, fan of your club. And then when they come more often, then they see, hey, this job is there to do, this job is there to do. Maybe it's something for me. So that's one tip what I would like to give. If you are dealing with new groups of people that you want to involve, but that you don't want to scare off from the very beginning.
Thank you so much. That was really, 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 really relevant. Mark, you wanted to come in?
Yes. So just on, I think Gabriella's kind of, and also Ruth, in terms of the rewarding of volunteers. So the players are volunteers, right? Like we don't pay players either. But they have so many reasons to want to come to the club because we make that really obvious to them. You know, they get good coaching, they get physiotherapy, they get other support. They might not have the same home considerations. A lot of them won't have kids yet and other commitments. Some of them do. But it's like, how do we get? And this is just a question on top of a question. But how do we make it clear the value of the volunteer that's off pitch? You know, how do we make that like a very rewarding position? We have player awards every year at our club. We don't celebrate. I think we've got one award for a volunteer, and that's something we need to change. And it's having a package. It doesn't have to be monetary, but it certainly has to be as attractive as the package that we offer players. Because otherwise you'll just get people coming in and then leaving, or you'll just remain with the core, the hardcore who want to stay because they've been at the club for 40 years or whatever it is. So just, yeah, rewards are really important.
So if I could bring this to close the circle here with Ahmed and Ruth, how do you recognize these volunteers, these people that work in your club? I'm not sure who wants to go first, but it would be really nice to hear if you have that. Ruth, you mentioned earlier about how you do your youth leadership. What other activities or initiatives do you have to recognize and value the people that are volunteers for your club?
For me, you know, sometimes a lot of people, they approach me and, you know, they said, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You know, this kind of, you know, comments or idea. And those people who like to, you know, step up and say something like that, I will spot them because they want to make changes. So they are the one. So why not, you know, tell them, you help me to change. You met me to, you know, to do something different because you saw my, you know, blind area. So I need your support. So I spot them, and some of them, you know, they, you know, came up with some of the really good idea that maybe I never thought about it. So that's really something. And at the same time, you know, sometimes we create some like support from the members as well. Like we also have some underprivileged kids. They play hockey. I remember one time that two youth, I can say, their hockey stick was all torn out. You know, the grip was out, and I asked them personally, how come you don't get a new sticks or, you know, something? And then they told me that they can't afford to buy new hockey sticks. So after that training in the evening, I talked to the players. I told them some of our members, they need a new hockey sticks or I used the hockey sticks. Doesn't matter. And the next training, I've got 15 hockey sticks lying there. And some of the members, they brought it back. You know, they just give away free because, you know, they buy, some of them, they, you know, keep changing their hockey, you know, following brands and all that. So they have a lot of useless sticks. So we keep a lot of these kind of sticks. So those who need, and some of the program, we go to schools, and use that kind of sticks to attract people. I mean, the kids to play hockey, and this is what we create the network also at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Gabrielle that you can't scare people away the moment they turn up for the first session. So normally the people who get involved are the ones who, you know, bring their children possibly to every session and are obviously watching and are keen. And then sometimes they offer their help, and sometimes we just approach them and see if they'd like to, you know, give something back, even if it's not necessarily being on the committee. It might be being a team manager or something similar, or organising a social for the team or whatever. Umpiring is an issue we struggle a bit with because we haven't got that many adults. So we're going to try and run an umpiring course, which keen parents and older teenagers will hopefully attend and then get qualified so they can, you know, umpire in the future seasons, which would help as well.
Andre, one more tip here. Often we are so happy that we finally found that person that is doing the job. And then we forgot for a year to check with this person, how is it going? Are you reaching the goals that you've put for yourself? Is it fun? And then we see him at the Volunteers Award evening. Then they give our praise. And then we are very surprised that that person stops, because the whole year we haven't spent enough time on like guiding the person in the job. So that's another tip I would like to give. Stay in touch.
Thank you, Gabrielle. One question we have from one of the attendees is there a ratio, a good ratio between number of volunteers and players? Is that something you think about? I'm not sure, Gabrielle, is that something that you at KNHB look for? Does this, yeah.
Andre, yes. And we've looked at it and we thought, well, the bigger clubs, they will have more professionals. But if you do it relatively, then you come out at the same percentages. Our clubs are run by more than 90% volunteers. And sometimes we give the impression that it's all managed and organized all by professionals, but that's not the case. And you have some technical managers and club managers and some coaches that get paid, and the rest is all volunteers. And I think you cannot run a club without a huge volunteer involvement, not financially, but also the idea of a club is based on people that would love to spend their time at the club.
And do you have any, is there like a minimum, if we have, say, 20 players in a team, is there like a ratio from the number of volunteers that you need to run, let's say a club that has 200 members or 300 members? Is there like a ratio of volunteers that you need to be able to provide the support and the administration of the club? Do you have this sort of ratio between number of volunteers and number of players that we can use as a reference point? Like, what would be if my club has 200 players, how many volunteers would I need? Does this make sense for you, Gabrielle, for you, Ahmed, for you, Ruth, and for you, Mark?
Yeah, I was talking, so I don't know if you want me to continue or first give the.
Yeah, no, please carry on, Gabrielle, please.
No, just shortly. I think it's not depending on numbers. When we start a club, you need to have a club president, you need to have a secretary and a financial person. Then you can officially build and start a club. And after that, it all depends on the strategy and your strategic aims that you want to put in place as a club. If you want to be that top sport elite high level club, well, then you have to invest in quality coaches. So then there will be the ratio volunteers and professionals is different than when you want to be the best.
Understood. Ruth, Ahmed, do you think about this? Like, how many people do I need for my club? Because, well, now I have more players, or now I have an extra team. How do you manage that? I mean, obviously, Gabrielle's point is incredibly relevant, because there are certain roles that you need to fill because you need them, even for the constitution of the club. But what about the volunteer numbers of volunteer roles? How is it in your clubs?
For us, it's just like what Gabriel said. We have presidents, we have vice presidents, we have secretary, we have treasurer, and each teams, for example, we have a team like the men's team. We have 2 teams, so each team they got a coach to look after the teams, and ladies team also. Mini hockey we have coaches, but we have like a men's convener to look after the whole men's team, whether for uniform or whatever. And we have a ladies convener, and then we have a mini hockey convener that we form a committee to run the daily work for the club. So of course we have volunteers also. Like most of the conveners, they were volunteers. They were not paid, and that is what we are doing right now. And of course we also we have development people to help how to spot those who want to develop as a member, as an umpire, or as a coach, or to become the management of the club. So we also have to spot this kind of players. At the same time, we also spot parents so they can join us to help to run the club as well.
Yeah, I think many hands make light work. So the more volunteers you have, the better, and it means you can spread the load. So although there are minimum positions on a committee, if we have a bigger committee with more people being proactive, then the jobs are shared, and it just makes life more enjoyable probably, and everyone can be more proactive. I think probably in terms of ratios, it's probably something like 1 to 12, ideally, especially in the younger groups. You know, the more volunteers or young leaders you have on a pitch, the more they can help the younger ones and sort of set the tempo and help the dynamics of the group and so on. So I think there isn't a set figure, but I just think the more the better, really. I don't think there's an upper limit.
Thank you so much. I mean, we went a bit over time on this topic, but it was I wanted really to finish with one of the questions that had came in from one of the attendees. I would like just to move to the next topic, which is fundraising, and I'd like to start with you, Mark, because your company is a company that works with clubs. And I would like to start approaching this theme of fundraising, not so much from gathering funds from sponsors, but more from making partnerships that, yes, can generate income. You mentioned a little bit earlier. So how does it work for you, this whole idea of fundraising, partnership, and how does that then generate an income to the club?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Like the traditional models around my club would be attendance at games, because we charge for entries to the senior games, which I don't agree with. I much prefer the Dutch hockey scenario where you make the events free and you kind of monetize the stuff around an event, like your food and your drink and other bits and pieces. But that's how we do it. We have sponsorship, and you have bar takings. But the car parks getting fuller and fuller, and the drink driving laws are getting stricter and stricter. So the bar takings are definitely down. So coffee becomes the new pint. In terms of like the sponsorship, so it's about footfall. So in terms of improving those areas, it's all about footfall. And footfall in terms of people coming to our club on a more regular basis. So frequency. So yes, Saturday can be a good day for making money at the club, but what about a Monday? What about a Tuesday? how can we generate footfall during those days? How can we make better use of all the facilities, even the outdoor space that we don't strictly own? We have fitness classes running on them, like boot camps and stuff like that, which turns into more coffee being sold, and more partnerships and more connections and bigger, better attended business events. So footfall is important, frequency is important, and therefore awareness is really important. So clubs sometimes sit in an area, and this is from our point of view, the area we sit in as a club is developing all the time, with new houses, and because it's not in the city centre, unlike Ahmed, who probably not sure there's space for new housing. But there's new people coming to our area all the time, and we can't expect them just to know about the club. It's not that easy. So how do we promote ourselves? And again, that's where I feel video and is really important in terms of the statistics around that. Can I quickly share something on screen? Is that all right? Just to give context.
Sure.
I'm doing it. It's just loading just now. Give me a sec, and I'll share my whole screen. Because are you guys seeing my screen now?
Yep.
Great. So I've got these statistics that we kind of looked at again around video. We used to be a performance tool, and now we're just looking at it as an engagement tool, both on field and off field. A lot of companies would absolutely love to have the possibility of as much video content as sports teams. Looking at stats around about the amount of video that Gen Z, so Gen Z are born 95 through to 2010. So the kind of players you'll be working with, there's a new generation out there now. The videos that get shared amongst each other, 92% with others. So sharing video, where was that video made? At my club, that looks cool. Moments on the pitch, people saying like, actually YouTube makes them feel more knowledgeable. So as a development tool, it's really important. And it's also the largest growth area on social media motivations is to follow sporting events. And that's not just your big events, like actually make sure someone's putting the score up of your events or putting up little clips of your events either during or after. So video can play like a massive role in that awareness piece. I'll just come out of that just now. So lastly, on this, the sponsorship aspect of it, we're actually just creating a new feature where you can add a watermark to the video. So all the clips you create, all the playlists that you create, highlights that you share can then have metrics around views of that video. Therefore, you can sell that sponsorship on the video rather than that pitch side banner. So that's a lot there, but that's the kind of stuff that I would be looking at to develop further at my club, particularly.
Thank you, Mark. Ahmed, you have a success story of fundraising at Shaheen. Can you tell us a bit more? How does that work, and how much of that is related to networking, partnershiping? Tell us a bit more how it works in your club.
It's hard to say it's success or not. It's really hard. We did, I think, a couple of times for fundraising. The first time we raised around like 5,000 US, not a big amount, I can say, for in Hong Kong. But at the same time, we realized that behind those, I mean, the $5,000 is important because a lot of people never understand what we are doing. They don't know what we are doing. Why we do the fundraising? Why did the fundraising for what? So we specifically mentioned that it's for underprivileged people. I mean, the kids to play sports. So a lot of people support and, you know, mix the tickets and all that. The second time, we did quite good also, which is almost like double of that. So we put in a lot of like programs and all that. And at the same time, while we did quite a lot for the community work. We asked for like grants from the government or from some of the corporate. It's amazing that 90% of them accept our proposal, and we have got quite good of support from them. And especially recently, we got a big amount, which is, we are talking about like millions Hong Kong dollars for a project for 3 years, which is for like almost like 600 kids to play hockey. So it's quite really boosts up our morale. And at the same time, with all the fundraising, with the raffles ticket, we need prizes. We have to knock a lot of people door, you know, ask them to donate prizes, like home appliance or coffee maker or whatever. We have quite a good support from those people, and they really support us. They understand that what we have did for the past like many years for the community work, because of the history. So we have got support. I think the most important that what happened over these years is we need to do a lot of like marketing. We have to tell a lot of people, especially parents and in the community, that what we have did, and let them know. I think Mark has a good point that use the video, use the social media. We use only Facebook, now we have IG. Try to send out a lot of things that let other people know, understand that what we are doing, what we have did, and why we are doing that, and what's the purpose of that. Because it's very simple. At the very beginning, I think Gabriel also mentioned that sports is something for the kids. You know, they understand what is the meaning of commitment, sportsmanship, teamwork. Everything is there. It's the essence of sports. It's not only just hockey, actually. Every sports, there it is. You know, respect and all that. It seems lost the respect, you know? But the thing is, we hope to bring that back to the sports.
Ruth, your club website is quite fantastic. Your social media is actually spot on. Is that something that obviously you care for that? Why? I mean, is it something that your members value, to have a good presence on the digital world? Is that important for your networking, for your fundraising? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I think being a new club, obviously a lot of people don't know about us. Even 3 years down the line, I go to tournaments and people say, oh, where are you from, you know, in England and so on. So I think we're trying to spread the word a little bit about what we're all about, not just about hockey, but the whole values of the club and the social interaction and the all-inclusiveness and so on, as we've talked about. So yeah, our social media is excellent, and makes the club have its own identity and shows the fun side of it, hopefully. We do have quite a lot of new members sort of inquire about joining because they've seen something they've liked on social media. I'm not sure particularly it's necessarily helped us massively with sponsorship at the moment. That's something we've done more locally by just sort of reaching out to local companies. But maybe, you know, that watermark thing that you talked about, Mark, you know, where sponsors get more higher profile, might be something we could consider. But yeah, I mean, our fundraising is more limited to sort of specific things we want to buy, so indoor hockey boards or whatever, and we set up a crowdfunding page. That sort of thing done internally from club members is how we've raised our money. But maybe going forward, yeah, we need to use our social media profile to create some more sponsorship opportunities or money-making schemes, perhaps.
Thank you, Ruth. Gabrielle, the other day you were telling me that for a club, a small-sided clubs, local sponsorship is incredibly important, more than national sponsorship. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, not only local sponsorship, but also local involvement. If we want to create an impact in the community, then we need to do that together with all the community partners. Whether it's the schools, whether it is the social work, children then into the sports, into the club, etc. Local partnerships to work together to make the impact, but also looking at local subsidies. We have in Holland, like it's called the Sportakkoord, and if you use your sport as a means for integration, or if you use sport as a means to promote and increase health, then you can knock on the door of those different departments, and it doesn't have to be the sports department, but the social care department or the health department, and you can borrow a bit from that side, reserve money to spend on your club. And you need people that can write that application, but there are a lot of local and national subsidies out there that support sport as a means to reach other goals. So local clubs definitely look at that. I think Mark already said, like, use your facilities far more than just for hockey. Totally agree. But use it also, those facilities, in times that you definitely want to rest. After the whole year slaving away as a club president, organizer, everything, you want to rest in summertime. But what a beautiful time to have to organize camps where children or parents paid for. Summer league, hockey sevens, hockey fives, whatsoever. And don't overburden then again the same volunteers. Ask other people to do this, that most probably want to profit from it themselves, and create money out of those activities.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. Mike, I know we're a bit over time, but before I hand it over to you, I'd just like to hear what Mark had to say. Mark, come on in.
Yeah, it was just, Gabrielle just triggered a couple of things in my head around about getting support from outside of your governing body. So when I created the co-working space here, we actually spoke to a group called Zero Waste Scotland. Obviously, you guys can't ask for them because it's for Scotland, but there'll be something familiar, like equivalent where you are. So we turned the space, because it's an existing space, there is no building work required. We're using a space that was already there and vacated. So we spoke to them because they did a hackathon, like got lots of information around what would make the biggest difference to our carbon footprint as a country. And actually local co-working spaces and stopping the commute into the city centre was their biggest impact they could make. So we really ticked all those boxes by offering this space. So just what Gabriella said in terms of looking further afield for things, that worked really well for us. And then another one was an event. So think of a big event that you could run at your club rather than small things all the time. We're thinking of running an Oktoberfest beer festival. There's a lot of clubs around us that run rock concerts, big sevens events, smaller sided games, and that one event can fund the club for the whole year. So one event and dip into the pockets of other agencies would be two things I'd say.
Thank you very much, Mark. Mike, I think it's time to go into our fourth part of the webinar. Over to you.
Thank you, Andre, and yeah, thanks for that. Fundraising, God, there's so many. There's a million and one ideas, and it's. I think there needs to be a go-to place for where you can see all these ideas. So I think, Andre, we're going to have to come up with something so we can gather them and share them. Ruth, it's interesting listening to you because you say, oh, well, we just do a little bit of this and that. And then I look on your website and you've got this connection for this sort of associate sort of buying club where you go and you get a commission from what everybody buys from somewhere else. And then you say, oh, yeah, we just set up a crowdfunding site when we need something. But these are ideas that are not universal ideas. These are great ideas that really contribute to the success of your club. And so quite often when you're in a club that's successful and doing some great things, you don't think much of it. But those ideas actually are really valuable, and we should be sharing them. So we will endeavour to do that in our role and with our responsibility. I'll stop rambling. Community and social development. is our final topic. We have 4 minutes to do it. Thanks, Andre. For me, this is the most important. This is the most important. It's the reason why we exist, really, from my perspective, and that's because we are naturally a community social species, and what we do should be always there to help others, which is what we do in a club. That's why we play a sport, a team sport, because we like to be with other people. You know, we're not playing tennis, we're playing hockey. You have to do it with other people. So I feel like there's a responsibility as a club to help within the community. And I also feel there's massive benefits that you can get from doing that as a club, in terms of the success of that club and how willing people and organizations are to engage with you because of the actions that you demonstrate. So with that, I'm going to go to each of the 4 of you and just get your ideas. So just one great way in which you're engaging with your community and why you think that's important and the value it brings to you. So Ahmed, I'll start with you because I know you did some cool things and we haven't heard them all. So over to you.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the parents, we form a volunteer and caring group. Before the lockdown, we host like a mini hockey tournament. It's like a carnival. Just imagine you have 1,000 people in the hockey field. Okay, you have parents, coaches, teams, and so many people. And we have to arrange food. We have to arrange like lucky draws, entries, a lot of things. We need a lot of volunteers. And those parents, they were our volunteers. They came back, even though their kids is no longer playing mini hockey. They came back, and the reason is they just like coming back to the home, just like back to their home, to help the homes to generate whatever we need. Every year we've done that, and that is the most important of engaging the parents as well as the children. Also, they came back. Also, even they grown up, and they came back. At the same time, every year we host like annual dinner. We did some fundraising during the annual dinner. We present some awards to those outstanding players or whatever. That is what we have been doing like many years. Besides the developing, engage the community. Community means like what we are doing right now in our center. At the same time, we also work with some of the government officials, some of the district council people. We invited them to come and see, to look at them by themselves, to understand what we are doing and why we are doing that. Like the base, when we start from the base, I always ask myself why we have to do that, and how are we going to do that. And then the third part, the most important, is how we're going to celebrate. Because after all the hard working, we need to celebrate. We don't just like, okay, we start another project. We need to celebrate what we achieve. So the celebration is not only myself by the cup of, champagne or, we have everybody to come down and celebrate what we achieve. So they will feel like, oh, we have done so many things, and this is what we have been doing for the past years.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Gabriel, KNHB. Hello? Yes, we can hear you. Your connection is not really good at the moment, but we can hear you. So you stay with us, Ahmed. Gabriel, some of the work you've been doing recently is with deprived communities, which is not what I would like to designate as your common, most frequent community in hockey. Could you tell us a bit more about that work and what the aim of that work is, and what are the outcomes that you've been having from that work?
Yeah, I would love to share that with you, because it's a new road that we are following, and we want to be, as a hockey federation, far more inclusive. but we're not inclusive because we're far away from the lower income areas with our clubs. So in 2019, we have decided to build this hockey foundation. Social development is the key of our hockey foundation ambition. We want to give the children in the lower income area the opportunity to grow physically, personally, socially, through the teamwork, through the club life, through the life skills that the club has to offer. So we are building and we are supporting clubs specifically in lower income areas, because kids in that have parents without a huge income, they have a small reach. And they can't go all the way, half an hour drive, half an hour cycle, whatsoever, to a club. So we go into the community, that's one key element, and build the club life there. Because children and parents in those areas in general are not used to be member of a club, we create a whole journey. And that is the introduction of hockey during PE lessons. I think everybody is doing that. Then after schools lessons, I think also everybody is doing it. But after that, we have an extra period at school, before we invite them to the club, where we teach them all the club skills, teach them the team skills, let them come in time. If they're not there, we miss them. We express that we miss them. We call the parents. We say, hey, is there something wrong? We love him or her to come the next time again. So we create through actually child psychology work, we create that kind of skills that are needed to make the next step to the club. And we've been, I think, extremely successful in that by following that specific journey. Because now when those children are coming to the club, they have something to offer already, because they've been playing quite a long time at school. And the second thing is they what they missed before, they have gained by this period, the life skills, the club skills, etc., that they really need to be a member of the club. So we use this whole pre-journey then to recruit children that are ready for the club life. We involve the parents. And we have also a few pillars that are most important in the journey. That is one, fun. Fun, like that's more important. These children must find the hockey lesson the most important and fun things in their week. So we don't mind if they stop the ball with the other part of the stick. Yes, we learn them skills, but especially they must have a fun experience. Care, individual care. This kid needs that, the other kids needs that, and the third thing is experience success. These children often get to hear, don't do that, you're doing that wrong. You will be surprised how many negative comments they get during the day. Don't say only during the weeks, every day again. And then there comes the hockey juffmeester, the hockey teacher and hockey trainer. And he says to you, wow, you're again in time. Wow, what a fantastic goal. But also, wow, what a nice teamwork. There's so many wow moments that you can express to the children, but make them feel great, make them have a smile on their face. And then it is no question, of course, I'm gonna be member of that hockey club because it makes my life. That's how we try to approach it to in those new areas.
Brilliant. Fun, care, experience, success. Got it. Mark, over to you. If you can find the mic. Are you struggling? Should we skip you?
Yeah.
Okay, Ruth.
Yeah, well, I sort of agree that you know, it's important to get other people involved, and sometimes people have never tried hockey, so until they've tried it, they don't know how good it is. So we offer free trial sessions and back to hockey sessions, as I've said, for the sort of parents or adults. Bring a friend session. We encourage people to, you know, bring a friend from school who might want to have a go. We try and have links with schools. We obviously hire school pitches, so there's a link there. We hand out flyers and have our club on the notice board and things to create awareness. And we do sort of free taster sessions in schools, hoping that you know, that will inspire people to come and have a go. So they're the main things we do really at the moment, just trying to spread the word that hockey's available to everybody, and you know, they'll all be welcome if they want to come and have a go.
Thank you very much. Mark, I don't think you're having much success.
Ah,
Mark, can I ask you to go out and come back in? Normally it works. Let's hope it works this time.
So I think maybe he'll just come back in time for our conclusions. So for I've asked in the chat that if you have some questions for our guests, then please add them, or if you have some great ideas about any of the topics that we've been discussing, then please also add them to the chat now, and then we can, even if we don't come back to you now, we can get back to you after the session and maybe invite you on as a guest on a future webinar. I guess with this last part then, if as I'm padding as I see Mark's come back, and maybe he can, is it working?
Yeah, I think I'm good again. I don't know what happened.
Amazing. There you go. You get the final word then.
Definitely not worth the wait. Yeah, so it's, for me, it's what's your strength as a club? Like I keep talking about our clubhouse, we're lucky with that, but it sounds like, you know, Ruth figured out one of their strengths is their ability to create that social online environment as well. And then Ahmed, so he must have lots of really cool parents, because he keeps mentioning the parents. And Gabriella knows how strong they are around about their kind of work with the kind of regular hockey world, but now wants to expand into other areas. So everyone's kind of aware of like what strengths they have and then utilizing them. How can your strength create like a ripple effect? So what can you do to kind of do something, get something done? Don't talk about it. Like, don't make it so big it overawes everyone and you don't get anything done. Like, get something done, creates a ripple effect. And before you know it, you've got like higher volume of traffic, you've got frequency. You can tell I've got an online business, and you get retention and you get referrals, and that's what you need as a club to keep going. And so what is that? What's that first ripple going to be? It's my challenge to you, I guess.
So when we met a couple of weeks ago to plan for this webinar, I wrote a few things down when I was listening to the four of you, so I'm just going to share that if you don't mind. The first thing I wrote down, and this was when Ahmed was talking, and that was about dream. He said, "Dream and be brave." I think that goes for anything in life, but particularly when you're running an amateur hockey club. And the other things I think, and maybe this also came from Ahmed, but it's certainly personified in the rest of you as well, and that's around perseverance. So keep at it. You can try something, and just because it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it won't work if you try it again, or other ideas. And be persistent in your efforts to do that. And then the other things I wrote was inspiration, because I think you're all four inspiring people who are as modest as you are inspiring, and you're all doing fantastic things. And there's probably another, hundreds of thousands of people just like you around the world, and we're all operating in their own little space, doing brilliant things, but we're not sharing those things to help others. And so that we see as our responsibility from the FIH, but I'm sure Gabrielle from a KNHB perspective, but all of us, whether we're in a club or a national association or just as individuals, we all have a responsibility within our hockey community to try and share and encourage others to be successful, so that we can grow and develop our game. So engagement and empower were the last two words I had. So I hope that by engaging you, we've helped to empower others with a few of your ideas. Yeah, I would just extend once again a massive thank you to first of all those of you who have managed to join us to listen in today, but in particular to our four guests for giving up their time and joining us and sharing some of the wonderful things that they have. And so I guess, in the words of the mother of hockey development, Gabrielle Van Doorn, have fun, take care, and I wish you all of the success with all the experiences that that you have in the future with hockey. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.